Thanks, everyone. Let me make sure my microphone is on. Welcome to Grant Recital Hall. Thank you for being here tonight in person. And we also have an online audience as well, so welcome if you're watching from the internet. So glad you could make it. I'm very, very happy you're interested in the state of the Conservatory. What I hope you leave here today is with a real sense that the magic that starts here, it's made up of the people, the faculty and students, world-class faculty who are working with some of the best talented students across the world who come here, start work in Kansas City, it spreads through this region, spreads through this nation, and then across the globe. It really is the power of the people in this conservatory, the power of the people in the Kansas City community and beyond that make that special. This semester is off to a very optimistic start. The start of the new academic year is also one of the most energetic times on all campuses across the nation. I want to start with a video that will help you understand the excitement and energy that we're experiencing right now. If you haven't seen that video yet, you're not following us on our social channels, so everyone take out your phone right now. Be sure that you're following us on Instagram and Facebook. We're really getting some good content out there. We're at UMKC Cons. Please add that to your list of things you follow. You want to stay up to date. As I mentioned before, the power of the conservatory is in its people, so I want to spend some time talking about the leadership and the faculty who are here. First, recognizing the leadership at the conservatory, we have incredible support by Chancellor Molly Agrawal and Provost Jenny Lundgren in what we do here in the school. We also are enjoying fantastic support from the UMKC trustees, which is a group made up of the professional talent in Kansas City who are right there with us, helping us with their talent as we bring our activities to the next level. Inside the conservatory, I want to recognize, and if you're a member of this team that's here, please stand and we'll recognize everyone at the end, starting with our chairs of the division, Christopher Hayes, Deanna Hyatt, and our new interim chair in theater, Colin Vorbeck, the associate deans, Andrew Grenade and Jim Snell, and our directors of undergraduate and graduate studies, David Thurmeyer and Chris Madden. Help me thank these incredible leaders. This year, we welcomed an incredible new cohort of faculty hires and staff hires. So you can see the numbers here. We've hired 6 new theater faculty, 8 new music faculty, and 4 new staff members. I wish I had time to introduce them. There are just so many, but you're going to see some of their activities featured in some upcoming events throughout the slideshow, and you're certainly going to have time to meet them in more detail throughout the year. But you can imagine the amount of work that went into the hiring of these new faculty members. I want to thank all of the search committees, the faculty search committees who did incredible work in reviewing talent across the nation and bringing them here to Kansas City to collaborate with us. If you can fit this into your calendar, go and buy a ticket right now to the upcoming faculty debut concert, which will happen at the Kaufman Center for the Performing Arts. So you can see a lot of our music faculty in action, and we'll talk about some of our theater faculty as well there. So please be there with us for that special event. I also want to congratulate our faculty who have achieved promotion and tenure. Chris Madden achieved at the associate rank with tenure, and Carl Allen was granted tenure. Please give them a hand. This is a big step for them. So I'll spend some time reviewing a lot of the activities from this past year, but also looking ahead to this year. They're going to be intermingled in some of these reports. And I have to say, and I'll say it several times so you understand, the stories I'm sharing here are only selected. If I spent time looking at every activity that's coming out of the conservatory, we would be here for weeks. And I'm not exaggerating with that. There's so much going on here. But I hope that what I share today helps you understand the scope of the work from the Kansas City area to the international scene. So we'll start looking at the globe. This map's very impressive. It's the first time I was able to put a map like this together. Our faculty this past year, and there's a few from this upcoming year, have been in over 120 cities across the globe. We've covered nearly every continent. Haven't hit Antarctica yet. It's in the plan, we'll figure it out. But it really tells you the story of the international stature of the conservatory. You'll hear me, the leadership team, our faculty talk a lot about how important our community is here, and it is, but it's that special work that then spreads across the globe. So to look at some of these activities, Professor Jarrett McCourt was in South Africa, a concerto tour, doing master classes. He's going to Thailand this year. Professor Steve Davis was just in London this past summer to conduct an all-world band. He's going to be back there this year with the Kansas City Youth Symphony. And he's also going to be going to a fairly well-known location called the Sydney Opera House this year to conduct the all-world band again. Professor Zhou Lang, this semester, I believe, will be at the Beijing International Music Festival for a premiere of one of his pieces. That is for orchestra and Chinese violin, the erhu. Professor Yotam Haber was a Fulbright scholar this past year, and he was set to spend the semester teaching in Jerusalem. Unfortunately, he had to return home, but this is quite a prestigious award for Professor Haber. He'll be back there in Israel this year for a performance of his piece in Tel Aviv. Really, the scope of the work is global. It's not an exaggeration. You can see it there. Talking about some more recognitions, Professor Chen Yi is now an honorary member of the International Society for Contemporary Music. More awards, these are funding awards. Professor Lonnie Hamilton achieved the UMKC Funding for Excellence Award. She's got an interesting research project coming up. Some of this funding will go to purchasing these fancy readers. Well, they're not readers. They are eye-tracking glasses, so they're able to track the movements of the pupil while students and performers are reading sight-reading sheet music. So looking forward to her project and see where this goes. We also won one of the UMKC Trustees Awards, the 2024 Leo E. Morton Community Service Award, and I congratulate the work of the director of the Conservatory Academy, Elizabeth Valley, who's helping lead the Conservatory Bridges program. Conservatory Bridges is an outreach program where we're providing instruction in music theater and dance to students in the community who would not be able to afford that instruction. It's been an incredible program and successful program, and that's been recognized by the trustees this past summer. Another substantial grant award was achieved by Professor Paul Rudy, who's working with a research team in the School of Medicine. You can see the PI on this project was Gary Slatkin, and the project is about speech communication interference in the operating room. You might not think that the conservatory faculty are doing research in medical operating rooms, but the talent that we have, the skill set that we have, is critical to many disciplines. And you'll hear this story of our collaboration even beyond the arts quite a few times tonight. So congrats to Paul Rudy. I'm really interested to see where that project goes. But achieving a $1.9 million grant from the NIH is a significant accomplishment. We'll highlight a little bit more of upcoming research. Many of you know Professor Tempe Ostagren. She's partnering this semester with the Nelson Atkins Museum for Night Shift. She's going to be working with several of our students. They're presenting tableaux vivants, so these living pictures that will be pop-up performances in the museum. And really, we have an extensive array of collaborations with the Nelson Atkins Museum. You'll hear more of them tonight. This past semester in the spring, you might have also seen the series Sight by Sound, which was led by Professor Jane Sylvester, a musicologist, who put together lecture recitals that were tied to the artworks in the Nelson Atkins Museum. Professor Tom Mardykes this past summer was part of the Casey Fringe Festival with his sound mandala. If you haven't gotten to experience that listening show that Professor Mardykes has put together, you should check it out. I'm sure you'll have more opportunities in the future, but it is a very, very special listening experience. So congrats to him for being part of this regional impact here with the Fringe Festival. Professor Ryan Belloc is going to be working, you've heard of Broadway in New York, so he's associate projection designer. I want to be specific about that, because Professor Belloc is one of our new professors. His title is Assistant Professor of Digital and Immersive Media. And so his work with projections is being featured in New York. If you can get to New York, it's being, the previews start in October and then opens in November for A Wonderful World, the Louis Armstrong musical. Looking at some of our student activities, these are our numbers for graduating students this past spring commencement. So we had about a little over 150 students graduate in the spring, a large graduating class for us. With so many outgoing students, sometimes it's difficult to maintain our enrollment numbers due to so much attrition. In fact, last year's numbers of graduation were closer to about 110 students graduating. But phenomenally, and I attribute all of this success to our faculty, their work is getting out into the world, their recruiting and enrollment, their recruiting efforts are really having an impact. So this year, our overall enrollment in the conservatory is actually up a little under 3%. First-time college student enrollment is up 30%, and our new graduate students are up 15%. So word is getting out. We're continuing to attract that top talent I mentioned before to Kansas City and to the conservatory. We're keenly interested in our student success in terms of job placement and career opportunities, and I've listed only a few of those here, but they're significant and I want to congratulate them. So Fiona Slaughter was placed in the Springfield Symphony. She's an oboist. Two of our band directors working with Steve Davis achieved academic positions, Hannah Morrison and Chris Agwu. And then Spencer Bannister is going to be joining the Bands of the West in San Antonio. Our students continue to use the skills they're developing here, the skills they're developing in the Kansas City community, and then finding success broader in the nation. What's fueling all of that activity and energy? It is the philanthropy of this city. We could do great things here at UMKC, but we do outstanding things because of the additional support in this community. You can see I've got blinking up here this $3.5 million number. It really was a banner year for fundraising, and I want to take a moment to thank Mark Madison, my partner in fundraising in the conservatory, is really leading those efforts. We need an MVP award. Mark would get it this year. One of the interesting new endowments that we received was a $1.7 million endowment. That'll spin off about $70,000 in new scholarships a year for us. This is having a substantial impact on how we can support students through their education in the arts. And I will also note, by the way, that $3.5 million does not include a lot of work that's happening in the silent phase of our fundraising campaign. So these numbers are actually even higher for the pledges we've received this year. Really, really great news for where we're going. I have the note, I want to be sure to read the name of that scholarship because it's so significant and large. It is the Forrest Washburn and W. Glenn McKnight Scholarship. Really fantastic. Speaking of support, and I gave credit to Mark, the people who are actually doing that giving should also get quite a bit of credit as well. And in this city, it's just a phenomenal level of philanthropy that's engaged to support these activities. You can see on the right side there, the charitable foundations. We have steady and ongoing support from the Murray McBrien Kaufman Family Foundation, from the RNC Charitable Foundation, and the Richard J. Stern Charitable Foundation. The Richard J. Stern Foundation for the Arts. In the banner there, you see listed our constituent groups, our supporting groups, which include the Friends of the Conservatory, the Women's Committee, and the Jazz Friends. The work that they are doing is fueling the amazing success that the conservatory experiences. I want to thank in particular the leadership of the boards for those constituent groups. This year, Aicha Chill is president of the Friends of the Conservatory, Nancy Panzer-Howell is president of the Women's Committee, and Jen Anderson for the Jazz Friends. I don't think they're here tonight, but please give those folks a round of applause. We also have the support of a very special person, Dr. Elizabeth Noble, who has put in place this creative activity and research fund. And annually, that is helping send our faculty across the globe for the activities that you saw us mention before. Looking ahead to support, this year, Crescendo, our scholarship fundraiser, will be at the Nelson Atkins Museum on November 9th. If it's not in your calendar, please find a way to add it there. It's going to be an innovative and immersive experience for the audience goers. I also believe that it's going to be a record-setting year for fundraising for our student scholarships. And to attribute success for that, I want to mention the event chairs for Crescendo this year, who are Melanie and Jim Ryan, and our honorary chairs who are doing an outstanding job, Jerry and Patty Reese. Jerry's here. Would you please help me recognize Jerry Reese? If you haven't yet made a sponsorship gift for Crescendo, that means you'll probably hear from Jerry soon, by the way. He's just doing an outstanding job. So again, all of these activities, the giving, this gives you a concept of the scope of work that's happening and how it starts here and spreads across the world. I want to pivot for this presentation now to broaden out and share with you some of the strategic thinking and the strategic work that's happening in the conservatory to not only ensure that we maintain that momentum, but that it actually increases, and that we're able to share the special work we're doing at even greater levels. If you were here for the 2023 State of the Conservatory address, which I assume you do, it's in everyone's annual calendar, right? We talked a bit about the strategic pillars that our faculty were working within. And these strategic pillars included community, innovation, and location. And I want to come back to those strategic pillars because that discussion we had as a faculty and the work we started organizing around these pillars, we have continued that work and developed it even further. So I'm just looking back and reviewing it here for a moment. These pillars developed out of our analysis of what do we do well in Kansas City and what does this faculty group and this group of students excel at? What are those advantages that we can lean into even more and more? So when we think about community, I'll read these here so you understand where we were in the strategic work. In community, it says, develop and enhance community engagement and impact through partnerships and service. When we thought of innovation, we said, build on the strengths of the conservatory training to create innovative and modern curricular opportunities. And those have really taken two tracks when we think about how does our curriculum become more innovative. And one of those tracks was in the integration of the art forms of music, theater, and dance. How do we leverage the power of having those three divisions collaborating? The other was looking at our interdisciplinary partnerships. And last year, I believe I mentioned the Block School of Management and our collaboration with the School of Business that way. In terms of location, activate distinctive opportunities for arts training and research in the Kansas City area. Those pillars became the foundation for a discussion with the faculty this last year, and we looked at our vision statement, and we thought, how does this vision statement grow to really represent the work in these strategic pillars? And so I have here listed the entire vision statement. But what I want to read it to you, and you can see now where working with the faculty, we've embedded that strategic work into the vision statement to really clarify where we're going. I'll read this vision statement to you, and you can see those vision elements be called out there. As a conservatory of international stature, we aim to be the destination of choice for students seeking artistic and pedagogical excellence. Training that is enhanced through community-centered learning and research and creativity in the integrated performing arts. Situated within an urban research university in Kansas City, we collaborate with our local and campus partners to engage in work unique to this region as we pursue a global understanding of how the arts improve lives. It seems rather abstract in some ways, but I want to share some stories, some initiatives that are in place and will continue to grow as we lean into those vision elements to realize that dream of being the destination of choice for students seeking these opportunities. So we'll start with the community-centered learning, thinking about how we work in this Kansas City area and this region to leverage those possibilities. You may have heard about some of these before. This past year, we started a concert series, Healing Harmony Concert Series. This was a partnership with University Health and the Conservatory, and we brought our student performers into the hospital settings. So the lobby areas, the waiting areas, places where the staff are eating lunch, places where we could increase the healing power of those environments. Not sure how many times you've been to the emergency room. It's not the place you feel like you're being healed. In fact, it's one of the most unpleasant experiences. The arts can transform those. And it was very, very profound, the reaction we got from this experiment this past year, really a pilot program that we're going to continue and expand this year. Again, we thank the UMKC trustees. They recognized this initiative and gave it the 2024 Vision Forward Award. And that was a joint award to UMKC Conservatory and University Health. Another example of how what we do is particularly special because of how we do it with our community. You may have seen this story before. I talk about it anytime I get. It's a program where one of our graduate students gets to live at the Senior Living Center Claridge Court. The student receives free lodging in a beautiful apartment location. The community receives that power of the arts. Beth Christensen is the student you see in the picture there. You may have seen her either in the internet postings or perhaps even on the local news as she was interviewed about this program. She performed once a month for the community in a more formal recital setting, but was really living there on a daily basis, interacting with the residents. And she was learning from them, they were learning from her. So when we say community-centered learning, we're talking about activities where the experience of studying becomes more profound and impactful because of how it happens with the community. Beth has finished her one-year term at Claridge Court, and now Maddie Smith is the new student placed there this semester. So the program continues, and we're looking at ways that we can expand this concept. Speaking of community-centered learning, this past August, I was privileged to be the speaker at the luncheon for the Cock Affair lecture series and courses. And I highlight it here because that talk, the title of it was The Role of the Conservatory in Building a Healthy Community. The thesis of that talk is that in traditional mindsets, we think of arts training organizations as preparing students for careers in performance, careers in education. And we do that. We do that very, very well here. But when we think about how students are working with our community, we're really looking at how they're impacting lives every day. So when we think about looking at hospital settings or senior living centers or various performing organizations throughout the community, we're thinking of that impact on a daily basis. And that's one thing that makes our vision very, very special in a world of very amazing conservatories, frankly. So let's look at the integrated performing arts, and that's where we're thinking of music, dance, and theater coming together. And truly, the collaboration of our faculty has been going on for a long time. These type of performances and productions, these experiments where these art forms are colliding and innovative experiences are coming out of them, that's been happening largely on an ad hoc basis, in a natural way. One of the Conservatory and UMKC's key values is collaboration. It's something we do naturally and we lean into more and more. But we're starting to approach these activities with much more intentionality and much more organized and even branded ways. As part of, I get to catch that, it'll come all the way down here. As part of our vision statement, it says we aim to be the destination of choice. That means students have to know about this place. And so some of our work we're really articulating in new ways and expanding those activities at the same time. We can see that happening. I mentioned Tempe's program that's going to be at the Nelson Atkins. This past spring, The artistic committee in the conservatory produced a show called For the Birds, and I recognize the 4 faculty members that are here, Michael Blake, Tim Piastagrin, Carla Nowak, and Jane Carl, for putting this together. I wanted to read their description for it because it's so clever. This program was described as, "This avian odyssey takes you through an artist's eye view of our relationship to birds across time, place, cultural traditions, and art forms, with UMKC Conservatory students and museum experts as our guides." Here's another example of where this integration is becoming more organized and present in the conservatory. For the first time, we now have a position. I thank Professor Paul Rudy for stepping into the position of Coordinator for Integrated Arts Initiatives. One of his initiatives this semester will be to start a student concert series. He will act as the mentor and almost producer for these as students come together between the divisions of music, theater, and dance to put together innovative integrated arts productions. Be sure to save the date for the first appearance of that, November 2nd. The title of the series will be Nexus, Integrated Arts Performances. To talk a little bit about our location pillar, we being here in Kansas City and in this region, I'm going to highlight some of our partnerships that really demonstrate how what we do can be even more special for our students and our faculty. So I have a news story here from several years ago. This says, "New Arts Management Program funded by $1 million gift from Theater League." You probably heard about this before, but thanks to the Theater League and Mark Edelman for really laying the foundation for a collaborative effort with the School of Management, the Block School. And so his gift, the Theater League's gift, was able to set in place a new graduate certificate program. This is just a snapshot from our academic catalog, not the most exciting slide, I admit, but wanted to show that this set the scene for a new curriculum for our graduate students in arts management. We've continued to develop that program, and now it's become a core part of what we do. This semester, this year, starting for the first time, we have a position in the conservatory. Its title is Coordinator for Arts Entrepreneurship and Arts Management, specifically for this collaborative effort between the conservatory and the Block School. So I want to thank Professor Joe Parisi for stepping into this coordinator role. We have, with the Block School, an undergraduate certificate in arts entrepreneurship and the graduate certificate in arts management. The coursework that's part of those certificate programs have also laid the groundwork where they can be incorporated into other degrees. So those programs which are business-focused, career-focused, entrepreneurship, and really business building focused are helping our students even outside of these certificates, so in our Bachelor of Music and Performance degree or other degrees like that. I have scrolling here a list of the performing arts organizations that are our partners in the city. Many, as these scroll by, were organizations that were actually started by our faculty or alum in this community, but all of them are active partners in various ways. Our students are performing with the organization or benefiting from the guest artists they bring into town, and we're leaning into the practical training that this city can offer for arts students, especially performing arts students, I should say there. When you think about these partnerships, what makes Kansas City special, what makes the conservatory special? There are some very amazing schools for performing arts across the nation who are not part of a major metropolitan area, that do not have those opportunities. And since we're here, we want to leverage them as much as we possibly can. To set the foundation, to bring all of this vision forward and to make it possible, you've heard me talk before about our plans to develop our facilities, and this is a concept image of how we plan to develop the Performing Arts Center here on the Volker campus. And the work on the fundraising for that is continuing, and I promise you it's moving one step ahead at a time. I do want to highlight, though, the plan for these facilities is the result of strategic analysis of where we are in the conservatory, what our needs are, but also what we need in this day and age. If you think back over the last 6 years, it's been a time of I'll say unprecedented, it's an overused word, but unprecedented change. Think about what the Conservatory has experienced. In 2017-18, the Division of Theater joined Music and Dance, a seismic change for an organization like this, and for those divisions. We also experienced a global pandemic, which changed audience habits perhaps forever. Technological innovations that change the way we work on a daily basis and the way that future artists, performers will be working. In addition to that, as I mentioned, there's several new interdisciplinary initiatives coming out of the Conservatory. We are in lockstep with a lot of our partners here, like the Block School and others, where we're planning new partnerships here on campus. Over 50% of the faculty in the Conservatory are new since the last 6 years. So we have an incredible brain trust that's joined us, this new cohort of faculty who have new ideas and are ready to lead the arts training we do here into the future. You think about the city itself transforming. Early next year, we get to see the opening of the streetcar, and we'll be connected physically to the downtown area, to our partners downtown in new ways. We're not yet to the public campaign for this, but if you want to be part of the journey where we build the foundation for the next level, the next journey of the Conservatory, please let me know. I'll be happy to talk to you. The other thing that I'm very focused on is that we tell our story across the nation, across the world. Behind this screen, you get to see for the first time today a new video for student recruiting in the Conservatory. So it's hiding there, but it's so important that we get better at articulating what's special about this place. So why am I doing the State of the Conservatory address? I'm making a strong effort that you can understand that story and be with us. I want to thank a few people before we watch this video, and this really has been a journey as we've tried to more clearly articulate our brand, describe who we are and what we do in the Conservatory. That began a few years ago when Barclay, the marketing firm here in Kansas City, helped us to do some of that work. And I want to thank the Richard J. Stern Foundation for providing some of the funding that had that foundational brand work that led to us articulating this story even better. In addition, the Friends of the Conservatory have provided support annually for the past 2 years to increase our marketing efforts. And we're laser focused on gradually becoming better and better in that process. This recruiting video was accomplished with the partnership of Torch House Studios. Ron Berg and his team just did an incredible job. The leadership team I mentioned earlier, the chairs, the associate deans, were involved in the planning process, as well as several of our faculty. In particular, I want to thank Professor Paul Rudy and Sean Chin for their advising and concepting. The goal of this video was to show the emotional experience of being a student here with us, to show what's special about living and working here. And it will feature 3 of our students, actually, and you may recognize them from seeing their performances or meeting them around the Conservatory. So I hope you enjoy. If that video moved you, here's my call to action. Share our story, engage with us, come to our concerts, support our students, and also support the Conservatory through our scholarship fundraising and our upcoming facility campaign. Thank you for making the effort to be here tonight. We'll have time for questions, but I really appreciate your support. Thank you so much.